On your feet! Get them going!
Guess I should add myself to the screen. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Let me adjust this visual effect. Welcome back to, oops, there I am. Cross-examinations, post-stroke era mic. Hey, Amy, can you post this up in the Discord for me? I use the deconstruction zone guy for the thumbnail because I was listening to him for like 2 hours last night. It was driving me nuts. Sorry, can you hear me? And my mic is seems very far away. And I guess stroke update. You guys probably want a stroke update, right? So let's see if anybody's watching on Facebook. Not yet. Stroke update. Hands still weak. I can talk better. I don't think I'm 100% on the talking. Like sometimes I feel like I'm chewing my tongue, but I think it's better. My leg's getting better. I can lift my knee off the ground. I can flex my foot a little bit. I can walk without a cane, but it's embarrassingly slow because I can't lift my foot up completely. It still drags a bit, so it's like very. I should walk with a cane or my staff, but I tend not to because I don't know. I don't like being hobbled. So, all right, I gotta what's up, Philip? Watching on Facebook. So, I have a lot of dexterity in my left hand, more strength, so I could actually put my own hair in a ponytail. That's something I could not do at the beginning. So I'm getting better. I'm getting better every day, except for yesterday. And I'm doing it again today, except for the fact that I've been walking around. I didn't do any PT yesterday during the day, and then at night my leg actually felt weaker. So I'm gonna try to make sure after I get off this video, I gotta do some PT. I try to do it in the day and at night. So I guess there you can regress if you don't just keep pushing forward. So I'm gonna keep pushing forward. I make my mushroom cacao cayenne pepper coffee drink. Hello, what's going on here? Zitbit. Well, I'm giving an update on my post-stroke. This is only my second stream since I had my stroke. So you're on cross-examinations and blacklist. Which would you rather? Just do whatever you want, Amy. And then the reason the subject, this is going to be a cross-examination. This is not just going to be a mic stroke update. I have been able to work. I just don't have the stamina to work as long as I'm used to. Also, I should not be sitting in this chair for 12 hours at a time because that's not helpful. So I am doing shorter whatnot streams. I am trying to get some work in so that I don't fall so behind in my bills that I lose everything. And in that sense, if you want to help out, Shad set up a give send go. It's in the description. Gosh, I really wish he'd used GoFundMe. I go and I look at these, and I'm not complaining about Shad. Thank you, Shad, very much. It is helpful. But I look at the comparables of GoFundMe and Give Send Go. It's like a fraction. Give Send Go is like Indiegogo or Fund My Comic compared to Kickstarter. That's the difference between Give Send Go and GoFundMe. So consider getting a standing desk converter. I have one in my son's room. The problem is I have so much crap on my desk. And maybe I will at some time. Larry says, welcome back. What's up, Larry? DJ says, "Hey, it's Mike streams when I'm in the middle of something." Miller, how you doing? I am actually in the middle of something too. We're on my wife is also sick, so she's been in bed for like 3 days. So it's been a rough few days on top of the stroke, everything else. So we have a meal train thing supposed to be coming in 5 minutes. So I don't know if I told one of my kids to go help, but he's not always very helpful. So hopefully he will be helpful enough to go help out with getting it when they show up. If they show up, hopefully they show up. Meal prep stuff. It's been I'm not going to complain, but it's been a little more difficult than usual for a guy who's I had to go pick up JoJo because she's sick, so I have to pick up my kid from school. Which the great thing is I can drive because it's all right hand, right? I wouldn't be able to drive my stick shift. It's broken right now anyway, so that doesn't matter. But I can drive the automatic because it's all right-handed, and I can. I mean, it's power steering, so I can steer with my left hand. It's just my response isn't going to be as quick, so I try to steer mostly with my right hand. But I'll put my left hand on the steering wheel because I want my left hand to be relearning everything. I'm driving okay. I've driven okay for short distances so far. Just my son's up the street. And then I went to oh my gosh. I went to the grocery store and I don't have a handicap placard. And the freaking parking lot was full. So I had to park the parking lot over. And it took because I'm walking so slow. I should have brought my cane. I can walk faster with my cane or my staff. I have a staff, not a cane. But I'm like, it took so long just to get to the grocery store and then to walk around and you know what? It was exercise. I need the exercise. I need to. There's my PT so far. You look good. I always look good, Larry. I'm gonna make a good-looking corpse. They didn't give you a disabled permit. I didn't ask for one. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be requesting a disabled thing because that's a good outlook. So anyways, I'm taking my mushrooms. What I need, and if anyone, I shouldn't be requesting this on the stream because it's illegal. But I have a doctor in a different state who said the best mushroom to take for rebuilding your synapses and your blood vessels in your brain is psilocybin, which is something I can't get in California. So I'm not requesting it. That would be a federal thing. I'm just saying that it's like I'm taking lion's mane and all the other type of mushroom powder stuff because those are also helpful in rebuilding synapse and blood vessels. But the best one is psilocybin. And unfortunately, I'm a law-abiding fella. Psilocybin's magic mushrooms, Amy. They come? No. It also makes you trip balls. Well, what you do is you microdose. So it's like you're not taking a whole mushroom. You take like a pea size thing. It doesn't do anything to it doesn't make you go crazy. Here we go. Now we're in the same spot. It's handy information to have. Yeah, lion's mane is great, Scott. Taking lion's mane, ordered lion's. Oh gosh, hold on a second. That was one of the pastors at church talking about whether or not I can go to camp tomorrow. I really, really want to go to camp. Not sure if that's pushing myself too hard, but you know. All right. Why can't you get in California that shroom powder? Because shroom powder is still shrooms, man. I mean, if I was 18 years old hanging out with the same guys I hung out when I was 18, I could get shrooms easy. And I did when I was that age. But this is no. So anyways, Fuzzy Creature says proof is subjective. Proof of what?
I mean,
Name a thing. Name a thing. I mean it in terms of anything you have to believe, right?
Maybe.
I don't mean like
I feel like that's just.
I'm holding a bottle of ink. This is not proof. Prove you're holding a bottle of ink. Well, oddly enough, this could all be AI. We could all be in a hologram. Whatever. But like in terms of things you believe the Bible is true. You believe the Bible is not true. Evidence is objective, right? Okay, this is evidence.
If you're playing,
the evidence that we have of the 24,000 manuscripts of, I think it's the New Testament. That's all evidence, and that is all objective, right? Can I prove to someone that makes the Bible the most trustworthy document of antiquity? Only if they are willing to accept the evidence. And this works. It works, first of all, it works both ways. And you can kind of see this from the good shooting, right? You have the evidence of the video in front of you. You have a 3,000-pound car, tires spinning out, moving towards and making contact with a police officer who then suffered internal bleeding. Now, for me, that is proof that woman didn't care about the life of that officer and pointed a deadly weapon towards another human being who, in turn, used deadly force. Someone who refuses that perspective or has a different perspective said, I've heard it, oh, she just bumped him with her car. She just bumped him. Okay, how I take that is a denial of the evidence, but from their perspective, it is not proof that she hit him with her car. She merely bumped him, and therefore she did not deserve to get shot. Now, whether or not she deserved to get shot, that's not the issue. I'm just saying that you could have these people looking at the exact same objective evidence, but coming to different conclusions. And we are seeing it more and more and more these days. But this is the same argument you can make with like Justin from Deconstruction Zone, who says, oh, there's no proof. His show's called Your God Isn't Real. Prove it, or prove it to me, or something like prove me wrong. Someone who will not believe in God you cannot prove to him that God is real. Jesus said it himself. They have Moses and the prophets. If they will not believe them, neither will they believe the greatest miracle of all, that a man should rise from the dead. Right? So evidence is objective. perception skews your willingness to accept that evidence as proof. That's what I mean. Seems to me that a proof by definition has to be objective, no matter the topic. No, okay, you understand me now, Zitbit? You understand after all that I said? I was on mute. I was talking to my pastor. Camp. I know. I want to go so bad. If my doctor says that's pushing it, then maybe I'll just try to... It's 4 days. That's a lot. Maybe I'll just try to go up one night. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to miss it at all. I'm not going to cry about it this time, even though I can feel it. You mean like if man actually landed on the moon? That's another good case in point. I mean, you can. You know what's a very stark version of this is flat earthers. There are certain flat earthers that it doesn't matter what evidence you put in front of them, it will not prove to them that the earth is a globe. And converse. Well, I'm a round earther, so I can't really converse this, but just for sake of devil's advocate for the argument, no amount of evidence on the other side will unless they are willing to cross the threshold by which they think, well, that's enough evidence. It has proven to me. That's what it really is. It's proving to me, right? You have to prove to me. If I am completely unwilling, whatever the position is, if I am completely unwilling to accept your evidence, you can never prove a thing to me that I am unwilling to believe. Even if a man should rise from the dead, Jesus painted this picture very clearly. You've got thousands of years of fulfilled, accurate prophecy. If you can't believe that, or if you won't believe that, you won't believe that I rise from the dead. Right in front of there were people who saw Jesus after the resurrection who still didn't believe. I guarantee it. Scott from Facebook says, Romans 1:20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. This verse is why I've given up going into extensive debates with unbelievers. The evidence isn't around them, is in them and is them. It's accurate. And this is also look from a purely Christian perspective, what Justin is doing. It's funny because I was listening to part of this argument. He's saying like, well, Jeffrey Dahmer, blah, blah, blah. He's like bringing up Jeffrey Dahmer as someone who will not face justice because he accepted Christ, or he proclaimed that he accepted Christ before he died. So he won't face justice. The justice, right. So justice, the justice is paid for. The penalty of the sin is paid for on the cross. You have to accept that gift. It is a gift. Does that mean that there is no justice for him? No. That means that his justice is paid by another. But it's not paid by another human. It's paid by God. So anyways, he kept bringing up the Jeffrey Dahmer thing. And from a Christian perspective, I know this is going to sound terrible, but from a Christian perspective, Justin from Deconstruction Zone is worse than Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer just killed a few people and ate their flesh, which a lot of that seems to be going wrong around these days. Very strange, very disgusting. But that's a temporal, minimal dent on Like all those people who died. I mean, horrible, vicious crime, terrible tragedy, all that stuff. Jeffrey Dahmer. Obviously, Christ paid the maximum penalty, and Jeffrey Dahmer probably got right up there on that list of how many people in this planet deserve to be scourged and nailed to a cross, right? Fair enough. However, Jesus says, do not fear those who can kill the flesh, but those who can kill the spirit, right? Something along the... What is the scripture? Somebody post that scripture. Someone... Hey, thank you, Darren. You look pretty good for a guy who has had a stroke recently. Good genes, as Sydney would say. Glad, great to see you streaming, Mike. Thank you. Baz says, welcome back. Thank you, guys. Cannibalism going on. I know. It's bad. Dude, they're vampires. I'm going to get totally sidetracked. I'm going to try to get back to that topic. But killing people is terrible. But if eternal life is the thing, then leading thousands away from it is far worse. That's my point. He's making a lifestyle. He has chosen to dedicate his life to turning people away from God, away from salvation. He's dedicated a life to sending people to hell. So killing people is terrible. What Justin is doing is far worse. Say he convinces someone every stream, and he streams 3 times a week, and he's turning someone away from salvation, from God. 3 times a week. How many victims did Jeffrey Dahmer have? A dozen? 2 dozen maybe? And that's just physical. That doesn't mean that his victims are going to hell. Eternal separation from God. But what Justin is doing is determinately trying to get people to go to hell. Yeah, it is. Leading people away, willfully away from Christ, is akin to being like Satan. Correct. So what he is doing is by far the worst thing you could do. I mean, okay, he's not on a Stalin. He's somewhere between Jeffrey Dahmer and Stalin. Because, Stalin killed 40 million people, something like that. But again, he's not sending them to hell, is he? What Justin is doing is trying to send people to hell. Why is he doing that? Why? If you're just convinced yourself, I mean, here's a stupid thing. It is statistical reality. Okay, once again, Corpus Grinder, I guess you missed the beginning. This is why proof is subjective. He'll spend an hour with someone who's not terribly erudite, and can just make him sound like a flip-flopping, ignoramus, and therefore it makes it sound like he's got the better argument. I mean, he's a smart guy, so he knows how to. But here's the thing: he likes to improve his math and liquor.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Corpse Guardian. There it is. Thank you, Melissa. Do not be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot touch your soul. Fear only God, who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Right. So leading people away from Christ, combine that. Leading people away from Christ is akin to being like Satan. He is doing Satan's work. Evidence can be seen through a subjective lens. We are 100% in agreement, Corpse Grinder. That was my point. You cannot prove to me God isn't real, right? Because you can try to say your evidence can be objective. Your evidence is objective, right? But you'll never get me to cross back to that threshold, because my threshold for faith in God has way too much evidence to the contrary in my own life and in my subjective lens. Someone who refuses to believe in God, no matter what, can never be proven, or can never accept enough evidence to the contrary. right? If you're just like, I'm an atheist, I will not believe in God, you cannot, you can pile a 1,000 books worth of evidence in front of the person, but if he will not believe, he cannot believe. Therefore, it cannot be proven because proof is subjective. Evidence is objective. So I think we're in 100% agreement, even though you're on the other side of the fence, our atheist friend Corpse Grinder. So that's kind of my thing. It's like Justin, from listening to him, he seems to think that's a one-way street, right? It's like, oh, I know so much. I know this. I know that. I know Greek. I know Hebrew. I know blah, blah, blah. And therefore, you can't prove to me because you're so dumb you don't speak or you don't read Hebrew, right? He's very condescending towards people who may not know every logical argument or every language that was translated. Bruh, there are people who know Greek and Hebrew 1,000 times better than you, Justin, and are on the complete other side of the fence on faith. So trying to be like, I'm so much smarter than everybody, that's why you can't convince me. No, you can't be convinced because you don't want to be convinced. The evidence isn't subjective, but the interpretation of the information can be. Proof would be math and more objective. Right, I'm not talking about math. I'm not talking about things in your face. Well, actually, that's a weird thing. So you can have thing in your face, objective evidence, right? Like the constant discoveries of archaeological evidence that is objective, that does show that the biblical stories, the biblical timeline, the biblical kingdoms are all objectively true. But take someone like
Minor.
on the other side. I'm not even going to say just Justin because I haven't watched them that much. But take someone who refuses to believe the biblical tales are real, and they can see that insurmountable mountain of archaeological evidence, which is objectively true, and they will still say that's not proof. So I think we agree. Do you not think we agree? We are saying the same thing, right, Grinder? Wes Huff comes to mind. Right, Wes Huff. There's I mean, well, you've got 2,000 years worth of, never mind 2,000 years. One of the arguments is, oh, Isaiah 53 is about Israel. It's about Israel. That's why they don't teach it in Israel, where all the Jews speak freaking Hebrew and read Hebrew, right? Because it's about Israel? No, they don't not teach it because it's about Israel. They don't teach it because when you read it, it's very clearly talking about Jesus on the cross. Very clearly. So clearly that, when they are shown it, some of them straight up just convert. What's up, Luke? Let's see where everybody is. 2 people on my Facebook. 1 person on my Facebook. All right. 10 people on. Math is the perfect language for deception precisely because people assume it's objective. How is it not objective? This is math, right? 1 + 1 = 2. What isn't objective about it? How do you math is one of those things I would take as a universal truth that shouldn't exist in a random universe, right? In a random, meaningless universe, math shouldn't make sense. Nothing should make sense, frankly. But yeah, that's funny. I watched that couple hours of that guy last night, and like I said, he will spend endless amounts of time with someone who isn't that I don't want to say smart because it's not about smart. It's just not that well spoken and easy to trip up because he likes like playing with him like
I think we back it up.
a marionette. Just like, oh, let me make you trip up again. Let me make you trip up again. Let me make you trip up again.
Here.
Talk to somebody who hasn't even read the Old Testament, and he's like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about that? Actually, math has its sharp corners too. Ask a question about 0, 0, or 0, and watch the war commence. Yeah, I'm not a math magician. I ain't one of them math Asians. You know, that's an interesting story.
Yeah, yeah.
I failed algebra like 3 times. Don't ask how. But I was in 2 different schools and summer school, so it was really just one class, but I did it with 3 different teachers. But I ultimately passed to graduate. But then I went to junior college and I had to take algebra again, and it was the weirdest thing. I was struggling once again, and I talked to my dad, who's a friggin' engineering genius, right? And so I just went to him and I'm like, Dad, I just don't get it. I'm like, I don't understand how this works. And he said one thing to me, and it flipped a switch in my brain. I still don't understand how, but he just told me, he's like, Mike, it doesn't matter how it works. It only matters why it works. And some fundamental change in my brain took place where I literally aced the rest of the class without ever having to ask anybody for any help. Like all of the problems, everything just totally made sense. And all you did was say that one thing to me. And I never took another math class after that because I didn't care. I'm an artist. I'm not an arithmetist. So weird, right? I told that to a friend of mine who's like a Harvard grad, and he's like, yeah, that makes sense. He's like, that's exactly right. It doesn't matter how it works. It only matters why it works. I'm like, I'd have to go back and re-figure out all that stuff but isn't that weird? Just saying that one thing took it from something I couldn't solve to something I completely understood just with one sentence. Weird. Mathematician. I became a mathematician and then I just didn't care. I'm like, yeah. I should have took geometry though. I feel like I should have taken geometry. Anyways, was there anything else? It was so funny because this morning I just kept thinking about it. I was like, man, I want to do an episode of cross-examination so I can just try to like explain why proof is subjective. First of all, that was kind of my main thing. It's like you can't. And I know people on the left and the right are both guilty of being like, oh, prove me wrong. And I get it. It's a cute thing, but like literally, you can't. Unless a person is willing to be proven wrong, you can't. And so that's why even when you do this, you come online and you stream and you argue with others, even if you're like on social media or whatever, and you're just arguing with other people, you're not arguing with the person for the sake of that person coming to a revelation that they're wrong. You're arguing for the sake of the audience, because the audience in many cases, they're not there to be on one side or the other. They're there to see who's making the better argument. And that's why someone like Justin is perfectly happy to string along a less than adept debater on his stream to make that the Christian, the faithful, the God side of the argument look silly. And that's why I really wish people who were not competent and well-read and understood logic and reason and how to discourse intellectually. I really wish these people would not call into those shows, because it does exactly what Justin plans it to do. And that's exactly why Justin will keep those people on much longer than he'll keep someone on who's giving him a good fight. When someone's giving him a good fight, he will talk over them. He will change the subject. He will just gish gallop and throw a bunch of nonsense. Not nonsense, maybe not nonsense, but throw a bunch of different like angles. It's like, okay, this track is going wrong. Let me throw a bunch of different tracks at him and try to confuse the argument. And then he'll find some reason to be like, okay, well, yeah, oh, we don't need to talk to this guy. He just wants to talk to the people that he thinks make Christianity look stupid. And frankly, that's disingenuous. That is evil. I'm just going to say it. Hey, if Justin ever wanted to come on my show, I'm not going to go. I don't generally sit there listening to his shows, but so I'm not going to go call in and sit there and wait for him to play tiddlywinks with some half retarded Christian for 2 hours. Dragon Paul says, I've always subscribed to the philosophy that if you aren't willing to fight for your beliefs, then you don't have any. Amen. I agree with that. But honestly, if you're not equipped to go up against somebody who is well-read and good at making people who are not well-read and don't understand their topic thoroughly, just make them look stupid. It is performative, and it is damaging. Somebody like, who's that? Ought to dig out that Tim Pool clip yet again on Discord where Justin went toe-to-toe with Mike from Inspiring Philosophy. Right. So if he goes up against somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, he can be called out and he can be made to look stupid, especially when you have Tim Pool refereeing and calling up, just like looking up the claims that Justin was making. He's like, no, that's bull crap. you're throwing out a bunch of crap. Now on your own thing, you can just say it, pretend like it's true, and just bulldoze over your opponent, who you can mute at any time. But yeah, in an even playing field against someone who's at minimum on the same intellectual par, and have a referee there who can call you out, who can fact check you as we go. Dude, he got murdered on Tim Pool. Anybody here who's watching this who is a fan of Deconstruction Zone, go look up him on Tim Pool and watch that video. And I know you won't, no one can prove to you what a fraud he is, but it was much better than him on his own show handpicking freaking retards from the chat to talk to. Proverbs 23:9, speak not in the ears of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of thy words. Amen. Chris Renner. So Bible college is bad. He was a believer and got educated. The more he learned, the more he understood that the evidence was weak. Well, isn't that odd, Corpse Grinder, that most people learn what he learned and didn't come to that conclusion? That, again, that is a proof is subjective argument. Because most of the people going to Bible college, many of whom I'm sure are much smarter than Justin, did not come out with the same conclusions, which ultimately means it's not the evidence. Something happened in Justin's life that led him to reject the evidence that all those other people, again, people much smarter than him, also accepted. So it is a personal opinion of his that evidence didn't prove it, because proof is subjective ultimately. Doesn't that work both ways? People have been atheists and gotten into science fields only to later become Christians because they believe the science points to a creator. Yeah, that happened. I wish it happened more, but Einstein is famous for coming to the conclusion that there has to be a God. Lambert Dolphin, PhD. He's one of the guys who he started out as an evolutionary biologist or whatever, with a PhD, and he ended up, the evidence was so clear to him. Again, proof is subjective, but to him the evidence just kept showing the younger and younger Earth, and he's like, well, this doesn't add up. So he became a creationist before he became a Christian. He was an atheist, evolutionist, PhD, and he was like, yeah, none of this stuff adds up. And then he became a creationist, and ultimately, I think he became a Catholic. Einstein's God was not the biblical God. That's not the point, Corpse Grinder. The point is, a lot of people, some of the smartest people in the world, again, much smarter than Justin, see the evidence and come to a conclusion that is not his. So his high and mighty stance that I'm so much smarter than everyone, and therefore all this evidence or none of this can prove anything. That's because you can't. That's because proof is subjective. Back to the title. Proof is subjective. He will not believe. That is an act of the will. That is not the act of accurately interpreting evidence. The point is intelligent design. Well, yeah. I mean, the more and more we learn about the microscopic world of proteins and DNA and RNA and everything, the more just patently obvious we are not mistakes. Nothing in the universe that is alive, probably just nothing in the universe. Okay, nothing in the universe is a mistake. Right. Irreducible complexity. Yeah. It is ridiculous. It is literally ridiculous to believe that a working cell could have arrived from random chance. If you believe that, you are blind to the evidence. You're blind to the truth. You will not believe. Not that you cannot believe. Although maybe because you will not believe, you cannot believe. Right? Because this is another point he's saying. He's like, you can't choose what you believe. You're either convinced of something or you're not. I mean, to an extent, that can be said. But again, same evidence shown to two different people, one who doesn't have a dog in the fight versus one who will not believe. The evidence might be plenty enough to prove on balance that a thing is true, where the other person looking at the exact same evidence, regardless, will not believe. That doesn't make that person smarter. Certainly doesn't make that person right. You know what? He says he was a believer and he went to school. And I know he's going to, that's the no truth Scotsman fallacy. Well, whatever. If sometimes the no truth Scotsman is just a descriptor of someone who pretended or even thought they believed. Right? There are plenty of people who are just cultural Christians. And frankly, I've always said that that's kind of the worst. Okay, for a society, it's great. For a society, if everyone was culturally Christian. It's great, better for the society, right? But for the individual person's salvation, that's a hard place to get out of, where you think you're saved, you think you're a believer, but you've actively never truly submitted your life to Christ. And I use the example of my mother-in-law all the time. She went through her whole life till she was nearly 60 years old, being a cultural Christian, doing all the things, reading her Bible, doing her prayers, blah, blah, blah. And I asked her like a year before she died, I said, when did you truly accept Christ and get saved? And she said, basically, it was a year before she died. Or it was the year before she died. 2 years before she died. Math. She said that when she saw my wife transform because she did get saved, she saw the change in my wife's life and she wanted that. And even though she went through all the motions and she called herself a believer and she even thought she believed, she didn't understand the transformation until she saw it in her daughter. Right? And then she truly accepted it. And then my father-in-law was like, he saw the change in her after she truly accepted Christ. There is a lot of people, if you don't get it, you don't get it. But if you have accepted Christ in your heart and you do abide by his will as much as you can, you understand the transformation. Which means I'm not saying that Justin's lying when he says he was a believer, right? My mother-in-law wasn't lying when she said she was a believer. She could have gone to Bible college. Justin could have gone to Bible college. It's not that they're deceiving themselves. It's that the true transformation never took place. He never gave up his heart for Christ's heart. And you don't understand it until you've done it. But you can sit there and say, I was a Christian. I was raised Christian. I went to Bible college. I raised Catholic. Blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada. Gosh, dang it. Hold on. My wife is calling. See, this time slot is better for me. All it took was a stroke. This is just something I felt I needed to get off my chest, Buddy Rabbit. I don't know that I'll be doing this regularly. Maybe I should. But I was just, like I said, I watched 2 hours of that, or I listened to 2 hours of that Justin guy yesterday, and it's just, it really stuck me. And thank you so much for your donation, dude. Oh my gosh. So amazing. You're a mensch. You're a mensch. If you really want us to conjecture about someone else's faith, we could always question sin struggles. Justin seems to be someone with a lot of pride at the very least. Oh yeah. I missed the whole thing anyways. Again. Buddy Rabbit. Yeah. Buddy really helped out with the Give Send Go. And if anybody else wants to help me out, I'm still trying to get back up on my feet. I've still got very large hospital bills. No insurance. And so I'll be trying to dig my way out of that for a while. But if anybody wants to help, link is in the description. Wish I could give more. I can if I will. Thank you, DJ. I really appreciate it. Yeah, does anybody have any questions? I mean, usually I do a full hour, but I think I made the point. All right. And Corpse Guy, do you understand what I'm saying? About it's sometimes the no true Scotsman isn't a fallacy. And here's the things like from the outside, I can't truly judge someone's heart. I can see the evidence of their life and I can believe that they are saved and they have a relationship with Christ. I can but I'm not ultimately their judge. And neither is anybody else but God. So sadly, your bills are smaller with no insurance. It's shocking to find out what they charge when you. Oh, I know. I guarantee you, between the 2 hospital stays, if I didn't have insurance, if I did have insurance, they would have charged my insurance company $150,000, maybe $200,000. It's the fruits, my brother. I know. You can judge a tree by its fruits. And I think in general terms, that is true. But in superficial terms, it's not. I mean, there are some people who are not Christians who have amazing fruits. That's true. Some people are just naturally, or I don't know if it's they have a naturally good disposition. I guess I can say it that way safely. But like I pointed out with my mother-in-law, I'm not going to say she didn't have her faults, but to everyone on the outside, they would have said she was a Christian too. It wasn't, and it really did surprise me. Hold on. Yeah, if I hadn't asked her directly, I would never have known. Sometimes people lie and sometimes they are mistaken. I can't disagree with that. Sometimes beliefs change with new evidence. I can't disagree. Who's that British comedian who was baptized recently? I think he's on the path. I don't know, but even Joe Rogan's been going to church. Here's the thing, Corpse Grinder. Beliefs change, right, with new evidence. But Christianity, when you are saved, you are adopted into the family of God. And because you are adopted, you are given the right to become a son or daughter of God. And that's not something that can be taken away from you. This is the once saved, always saved argument, but that is the case in Christianity. What's up, Nutwig? New Twig? Nutwig. Christian Nut. That'll work. And so, and that is really what I'm talking about. When you are indwelt, when you're baptized by the Spirit into the kingdom, your heart fundamentally changes. It's not just a belief, right? And again, you have to be there to understand what I'm talking about. Everyone who is saved in the chat has had this experience, and they've had that fundamental change in their spirit. You're no longer dead spiritually. You are alive. You're born again. That's why it's called being born again. It just sounds like a safety clause to do bad things to people who have their minds changed. Can you expound on that? I don't quite understand what you mean. Oh, shoot. I should have shown my comments. Showing comments on stage. At the end of the show, I know bad things. I'm gonna wait. I'm almost done here, but I do want to see what exactly he means. Do bad things to people who have changed their mind. Like what bad things? Yeah. Scott says, I felt like my spirit was on fire. The moment I repented and believed, my spirit reborn. Nice. My first experience of whatever you want to call the Holy Spirit fire was when I was praying for a gay friend of mine who was in the middle of a demonic battle. And like, I just knew I had to pray for him. So I sat down, I started praying for him earnestly, and I just felt that fire on me. And as soon as I was done, he called me back and he was like, I don't know what was happening, but faces were coming out of the walls at me. I got to get out of here. I'm like, I guess that was a spiritual battle. Never, that was the first time that ever happened to me. I was probably, that was around 99. I became a Christian around 95. So it was like, I'd been a Christian for 4 years. I'd never been in that kind of a spiritual battle before, but that's when I felt that fire. Corpse, are you still typing? Because I'd like to know. I would like to understand what you mean. Demons are a-holes. Yep. And demons are those people who try to lead people away from salvation. I could go into the whole argument he was having about why people need to be sent to hell. But I feel like he already knows, he actually knows the arguments, right? Hell is described as a lake of fire, a place of eternal darkness. There's a bunch of different descriptors that almost contradict each other. A abode of woe, gnashing of teeth. But it's never described as torture. It is described as torment. Right? Torture and torment are not the same thing. Torment can be described, I think, as not even unfathomable. Horrible resentment. That's not the right word. Regret. Like, I could torment myself because I did a thing wrong, or I chose a thing wrong, or I didn't do a thing that I should have done that I know would have led to much better outcomes, right? That's torment. Now, torment on an eternal scale where you could have just chosen to love God, and instead you chose to reject God. And so if this is sort of a logical thing, because his argument is, well, if I was God, I would have made a nice place for people who rejected me to go live. Well, I'm sorry, but if God made a nice place, God's presence is there. And the one thing you don't want is to be in God's presence. Right? Everything in the universe and in eternity that is good is derived from the word God. That's how we understand what good is from God. So if everything good is from God and you want to reject everything God, you reject everything good. However, you are an eternal being. That is the consequence of rejecting God. But he says, my beliefs change with new evidence all the time, in minute and minute and large ways. Updating our understanding of and nuance is part of maturity. I just stopped in to say, good to see you. Going, God bless King Bob. It puts him on the out group and makes it okay to shame, banish, or punish. I mean, that is, I'm not going to say that doesn't happen, except for the punish part. You can't really punish somebody unless you're a church body or someone in authority. But you can shame and banish from a personal friend group, like you don't want to hang out with them anymore. But that's not what the Bible calls you to do. If someone rejects God, you're to treat them like an unbeliever. Does anywhere in the scripture it tell you to treat unbelievers badly? Or does it mean it's like you take a step back from your fellowshipping with someone with a like mind to your befriending someone who you want to reach out to with love and patience and scripture, and you're trying to bring them into the fold, right? It's the lost sheep. Jesus leaves the 99 to go find the lost sheep. That's what happens. That's what's biblical. I'm not going to say that every Christian is a perfect person and treats their lost friends in a way that isn't biblical. But that's the biblical way that you're supposed to treat someone who turns away from the faith. A believer can grow spiritually sensitive over their sanctification journey. I can literally feel a spiritual weight of demons and evil in an area and around in someone. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. And the levels of spiritual sensitivity in believers varies widely. I knew a Christian in my early walk. He was so spiritually sensitive. He could like freaking see demons on people. It's crazy. True Christians will distinguish between non-believers, not as a means of othering or punishing. Justin is more than welcome to go to church if he wants. No one is stopping him. Buddy Rabbit, why isn't Corpse ever having these conversations in the Discord away from all these lame character limits? I don't know. No, the words good and God do not come from the same root. They just sound alike. Well, it depends on what language you're talking about. Disbelief is not something we punish. Egregious sin is something to punish, but only if that person falls under the authority of the church. Yeah. I think he gets it. Corpse Grinder is usually pretty good about understanding the message that I'm saying. But anyways, we are well over an hour. I'm getting a little tired. I'm going to start mumbling over my words soon. And I gotta do some drawing work here in a bit. My throat is already dried out. So I'm going to jump on Whatnot at some point later tonight. If you want to join me over there. Otherwise, if you would like to help, Discord is just another data scraper and personality profile, whatever. If you want, like I said, if you want to help out, if you have a charitable mind about it, and you want to see me not be quite as stressed, then I do have the link in the description for my Give, Send, Go. I really do appreciate it. Appreciate all of you guys for being in here and hanging out. And God bless you all. We'll see you on the next. I don't know when it'll be, but pray for me, please. Thank you. See you in the next episode. Cross